What if I told you that a single $250 million investment could change the future of professional golf forever? A move so controversial that it has reignited the fierce rivalry between LIV Golf and the PGA Tour, divided fans around the world, and sparked heated debate among players, executives, and analysts alike. But there's another name that's generating just as much attention: Brian Rolapp. As one of the most respected sports executives, Rolapp has become a major topic of discussion following reports surrounding LIV Golf's future plans. Could his experience help shape the league's next chapter, or is the speculation getting ahead of the facts? In today's video, we'll break down the reported $250 million investment, the PGA Tour's response, Brian Rolapp's reported connection to the story, and what it could all mean for the future of professional golf. Stay with us until the very end, because the final developments may completely change the way you see this rivalry. Professional golf has found itself at the center of another major controversy, as reports suggest that LIV Golf is close to securing at least $250 million in fresh investment. This figure has become the focal point of conversation across the golf world in recent days, drawing attention from players, executives, broadcasters, and everyday fans who follow the sport closely. The scale of the reported funding is large enough that it cannot be treated as a routine business update. It touches nearly every part of how professional golf currently operates, from tournament schedules to player contracts to long-term league strategy. The news has immediately sparked debate throughout the golf world, with fans, players, analysts, and industry insiders questioning what this financial boost could mean for the future of the sport. This sentence captures exactly why the story matters so much right now. It is not simply about one league receiving money. It is about what that money could unlock, and how it could reshape a rivalry that has already changed professional golf once before. While LIV Golf has already transformed professional golf over the past several years, this latest development could represent another turning point. The league's earlier disruption came from its structure and its recruitment of top players. This new chapter could come from its financial firepower. A significant new investment would not only strengthen the league financially but could also influence future tournaments, player recruitment, broadcasting strategies, and the ongoing competition with the PGA Tour. Each of these areas represents a different battlefield in the larger contest between the two organizations, and a cash injection of this size touches all of them at once. Tournament calendars could expand or shift. Recruitment offers to players could grow larger and more frequent. Broadcasting deals, which determine how many people around the world actually see LIV Golf events, could be renegotiated from a position of greater strength. And the underlying competition with the PGA Tour, which has defined professional golf's business landscape since 2022, could intensify further. The PGA Tour has responded with a statement, making it clear that the organization continues to focus on its own long-term vision while addressing growing speculation surrounding LIV Golf's reported funding. The response did not include aggressive language or direct attacks. Although the statement avoided dramatic language, many observers interpreted it as another sign that the rivalry between the two organizations remains far from over. A calm public statement, in this context, still signals that the competitive tension between the two golf bodies has not eased. To understand why a single investment report can generate this much attention, it helps to look back at how the rivalry between LIV Golf and the PGA Tour began in the first place. For decades, the PGA Tour stood as the dominant force in professional golf. There was no serious competitor challenging its position. It attracted the biggest stars, offered the most prestigious tournaments, and provided players with opportunities to compete on golf's biggest stages. Tournaments run under the PGA Tour banner carried decades of history, tradition, and prestige that no new organization could easily replicate. Winning on the PGA Tour meant earning respect, prize money, world ranking points, and often a place in golf history. For generations of professional golfers, competing on the PGA Tour was simply the standard path to a successful career. That landscape changed dramatically when LIV Golf entered the picture. Backed by enormous financial resources, LIV Golf introduced a completely different model. Rather than compete for legitimacy using history or tradition, the new league relied on capital and structural innovation. Instead of following golf's traditional tournament structure, the new league focused on shorter events, team competitions, guaranteed contracts, and massive prize purses. These four elements were designed to appeal directly to players who valued financial certainty and to fans who wanted a faster, more condensed viewing experience. The goal was clear: create an alternative that would challenge the long-standing dominance of the PGA Tour. Many people initially doubted whether LIV Golf could attract elite players. Skepticism was widespread when the league first launched. Critics believed that the established traditions of professional golf were too strong to overcome. The assumption at the time was that no amount of money could convince top golfers to walk away from decades of tour history and major championship pathways. However, those assumptions quickly proved inaccurate. Several well-known golfers accepted lucrative offers to join LIV Golf. Their decisions to switch immediately became international news. These decisions generated headlines around the world, with supporters arguing that professional athletes should be free to choose the opportunities that best fit their careers. From this perspective, player movement was framed as a matter of individual choice and career freedom. Others believed the moves were motivated primarily by money rather than competition. This second viewpoint questioned whether financial incentives alone were enough justification for leaving an established tour structure. As more high-profile players changed tours, tensions increased. What began as a handful of individual decisions turned into a broader organizational conflict. The PGA Tour responded by enforcing its membership rules, leading to suspensions and other disciplinary actions against players who chose to compete in LIV Golf events without authorization. These suspensions marked one of the most direct confrontations in the history of the sport's governing bodies, and they set the tone for years of legal and public disputes that followed. The disagreement soon expanded beyond individual players. It was no longer just about who was suspended or which player signed where. It evolved into a broader debate about the future direction of professional golf itself, touching on questions of governance, competitive structure, and the long-term health of the sport. Some fans appreciated LIV Golf's fresh approach. The shorter format appealed to viewers who found traditional four-round tournaments too long. They enjoyed the faster pace, innovative team format, and entertainment-focused presentation. Younger audiences, in particular, found the new style appealing because it differed from traditional golf broadcasts. This demographic shift mattered to sponsors and broadcasters who were looking for ways to attract viewers outside golf's traditional fan base. Others remained loyal to the PGA Tour, arguing that history, legacy, and competitive tradition should not be replaced by financial incentives alone. For this group, the value of professional golf was tied directly to its historical continuity. They believed that earning victories through long-established tournaments carried greater meaning than competing in a newly created league. This division reflects two fundamentally different views of what gives professional sport its value: heritage on one side, innovation and financial scale on the other. This division among golf fans continues today, and it forms the backdrop against which every new financial development involving either organization gets interpreted. Against this backdrop, reports of a possible $250 million investment become much more significant than a simple financial transaction. Large investments send important signals. In any industry, a major capital commitment tells outside observers something about how the recipient organization is perceived. They suggest confidence from investors who believe the organization has long-term growth potential. In the business world, investors typically commit substantial amounts of money only when they expect future success. This basic principle of investment behavior is why the reported $250 million figure carries weight well beyond its dollar value. If LIV Golf successfully secures this reported investment, it could provide the league with additional resources to improve nearly every aspect of its operations. The practical applications of new capital span a wide range of operational areas. For example, the funding could support expanded international events, upgraded production quality, enhanced fan experiences, improved marketing campaigns, and stronger relationships with sponsors and broadcasters. Each of these areas represents a cost center that requires ongoing investment, and a large capital injection would allow the league to fund several of them simultaneously rather than prioritizing one over another. It could also provide additional stability, reassuring players already competing in LIV Golf that the organization remains financially secure for years to come. Financial security is not a minor detail for professional athletes considering long-term contracts. This stability matters because professional athletes often make career decisions based on long-term confidence rather than short-term earnings. Players want to know that the league they join will continue operating successfully and provide consistent opportunities. A guaranteed contract loses much of its value if the organization backing it faces financial uncertainty a few years down the line. Industry analysts have also noted that significant investment could strengthen LIV Golf's negotiating position when discussing television rights, commercial partnerships, and future business agreements. Negotiating leverage in media rights deals depends heavily on perceived financial strength, and a confirmed $250 million investment would materially change how broadcasters and commercial partners approach these discussions. Media coverage remains one of the most important aspects of any professional sports league. Without strong media distribution, even a well-funded league struggles to build a sustainable fan base. Greater financial resources can improve production quality, increase international distribution, and expand digital content designed to attract younger audiences. These three areas, production, distribution, and digital content, are where much of modern sports league revenue and audience growth actually originates. Sponsors also pay close attention to financial stability. Corporate partners conduct their own due diligence before committing marketing budgets to any sports property. Companies prefer investing in organizations that appear well-funded, professionally managed, and capable of sustained growth. A confirmed investment of this size would directly address each of those three criteria for potential sponsors evaluating LIV Golf as a partner. Therefore, even though $250 million is primarily a financial figure, its potential impact extends well beyond the balance sheet. It influences confidence. It influences perception. And perhaps most importantly, it influences future opportunities. Naturally, reports of such a large investment prompted questions about the PGA Tour's response. Although the PGA Tour's official statement emphasized its continued commitment to serving players and fans, many observers interpreted the timing as evidence that competition between the organizations remains intense. The timing of a public statement in response to a rival's funding report is itself a data point that industry observers factor into their analysis. The PGA Tour has spent years adapting to golf's changing landscape. These adaptations did not happen by coincidence, they came directly in response to competitive pressure from LIV Golf's entry into the market. It has introduced higher purses for several tournaments, enhanced player incentive programs, and explored new partnerships designed to strengthen its position. Each of these measures represents a direct counter to the appeal that LIV Golf's guaranteed contracts and large purses originally offered to players. These changes reflect the reality that competition often forces organizations to evolve. Without a rival organization applying financial pressure, the PGA Tour would have had far less incentive to restructure its prize money and incentive systems as quickly as it did. Whether supporters prefer the PGA Tour or LIV Golf, one point has become increasingly clear: professional golf today looks very different from what it did only a few years ago. The emergence of LIV Golf accelerated conversations about player compensation, scheduling flexibility, broadcast innovation, and the overall business model of professional golf. These four topics, compensation, scheduling, broadcasting, and business model, now dominate discussions about the sport's direction in a way they rarely did before 2022. Even individuals who remain critical of LIV Golf generally acknowledge that its arrival encouraged important discussions throughout the sport. This is a notable point of common ground between supporters and critics of the league. Regardless of where someone stands on LIV Golf's methods, the broader conversations it triggered about how professional golf should be structured and compensated are now considered part of its lasting impact. Supporters of LIV Golf argue that competition benefits everyone. From this viewpoint, having two major golf organizations vying for players and fans ultimately raises standards across the sport. They believe players deserve more options, fans deserve innovative formats, and organizations should compete by offering better opportunities. Critics, however, worry that increasing financial competition could divide the sport, reduce the significance of traditional events, and create confusion among fans trying to follow multiple tours. This concern centers on fragmentation, two separate tours, two separate schedules, and fans who may struggle to follow both simultaneously. Both perspectives continue to shape public debate. Social media has amplified these discussions even further. Every announcement, investment report, player interview, and organizational statement quickly generates thousands of comments from fans around the world. The speed and volume of these reactions have become a defining feature of how golf news spreads and gets interpreted in real time. Some celebrate every sign of LIV Golf's growth. For this group, each new investment report or expansion announcement is treated as validation of the league's business model. Others remain skeptical, questioning whether long-term success can match the league's ambitious goals. Skeptics point out that financial backing alone does not guarantee sustained fan engagement or long-term profitability. Analysts continue examining financial reports, television audiences, sponsorship agreements, and tournament attendance to determine whether the league is achieving sustainable progress. These four metrics, financial reports, television audiences, sponsorship agreements, and attendance figures, form the primary data set that industry analysts use to evaluate whether LIV Golf's growth is genuine or merely driven by continued capital injections. Meanwhile, the PGA Tour continues promoting its own strengths, including its historic tournaments, established competitive structure, and deep connection to golf's traditions. These three pillars, history, structure, and tradition, remain the PGA Tour's primary differentiators as it competes against a rival with significantly more aggressive financial backing. As this latest investment story unfolds, many industry experts believe it represents another important chapter in the ongoing evolution of professional golf rather than a final conclusion. The reported investment itself has not ended the rivalry. If anything, it has extended the timeline over which this competition will continue to play out. Instead, it has added another layer to one of the biggest stories in modern sports business. Both organizations now face enormous expectations from players, fans, sponsors, broadcasters, and investors. These five stakeholder groups, players, fans, sponsors, broadcasters, and investors, each have their own interests riding on how this rivalry develops, which is part of why every new development receives such widespread attention. Every major announcement receives worldwide attention. Every financial decision attracts analysis. And every tournament becomes another opportunity to demonstrate strength in an increasingly competitive marketplace. One point remains certain: the future of professional golf continues to evolve, and the reported $250 million investment could become one of the defining moments in that journey. The coming months, as details of the funding are confirmed or denied, will likely determine how much weight this particular chapter carries in the larger story of the PGA Tour and LIV Golf rivalry.